Welcome back to Informed Decisions. It is a very, I want to say big day, but we are covering Scream, the movie that brought us together. And I know we tell our origin story almost every episode, but it is how we met. Like we were part of Zach Cherry's Patreon, then Scream with Ryan C. Showers. So it is the movie that made all of this happen. So.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Hi, my name is Sam, and that's Garrison. And so, like Garrison said, we did meet over our shared love of Scream because we both followed two very special content creators, YouTube and Patreon, Zach Cherry and Ryan Showers. We were both part of their supporters, their fan group, and we met by being part of their community because they both foster engagement with their supporters and with each other. So we started talking. We realized we have similar senses of humor. We started sending each other a lot of sick memes back and forth that were very funny. And then Garrison eventually approached me to host a YouTube show with him, and I can't thank you enough for that. So thank you. It's just been such a journey, and I'm looking forward to this continuing and seeing where it goes. But yeah, it is about time that we actually addressed the elephant in the room. I guess only the elephant to anyone who really knows us and cares, but it is the reason our shared love of this franchise is how we met. And so specifically, let's just talk about my experience with the first film and why I fell in love with it. I was 15 years old when it came out, and it came out in 1996. And horror was in a pretty bad state by that time. Most mainstream horror was not scary, not even funny. And I love horror movies. I love horror movies, and it's an acquired taste. A lot of people do not. A lot of people don't like getting scared. And funny thing about it is that most horror movies I find are so bad because they're so bad. It's so difficult to make them actually scary and creepy that whenever I find one that is good, I have a lot of respect for it. And so I remember the previews coming out for this and getting the feeling that it was really, there was something I was getting signals, or my spider sense was tingling. Something was telling me that this was going to be it. This was going to be the movie that revived mainstream horror. And so I went with my good friend in high school, and we went together. And as soon as the Dimension logo dropped and Marco Beltrami's score started playing, I just my heart started racing, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I can't believe it. And then the first 2 minutes when Casey Becker comes on the screen and answers that fateful phone call, and the first 2 minutes of her flirting with the sexy boy stranger and making popcorn because she's about to watch a movie.
I only eat popcorn at the movie.
Really?
I'm about to watch.
Really?
She says movie, but she does say, "Oh, I'm about to watch video."
Mm-hmm. Really? What kind of video? Oh, just some scary movie. Do you like scary movies? Yes, we do. And as soon as their flirtatious conversation wields its way into the living room and he tells her he wants to know who he's looking at, my heart just went. And I knew right there that this was finally going to be the movie that brought scary movies back to life with a vengeance. And it was, and it still is. I think there are a few reasons for that. One, Kevin Williamson's razor sharp screenplay. It's just amazing. He creates characters that are so vivid and relatable and very much of their time, but also timeless. I felt like I was friends with these people, even though they're fictional characters. I really related to them, even though they were all clearly in their 20s playing teenagers. I thought Wes Craven's direction was just what do the kids say now? Chef's kiss. It was just so snappy and sharp. And I would call, and again, I think what's funny about him is that he indulges in some incredibly gruesome deaths, but he also clearly seems to be sympathetic towards his characters. And So it's weird. I would call him a humane sadist in that way. It's a really, really interesting kind of like balance of two like opposite viewpoints, but he pulls it off beautifully. The um, th- it was also, I will say, and the reason that what makes Scream unique is the whole meta aspect, the acknowledging that it's a horror movie about people who love horror movies. Now, this sort of thing had been done before. It wasn't the first time that that happened. There were other films in the 80s that tried to do the same thing. Did not work out very well. There is a cute little movie called Pandemonium in the early 80s that made fun of slasher movies. It's really silly and campy, but it's also very funny. So if that's your bag, I would recommend that. Um, but this movie specifically uses its knowledge of scary movie cliches as a way to make you laugh and to tighten your chest with suspense, and it's brilliant. And I think I can think of a million little things, touches, details here and there, like when Sydney says, no, I don't watch scary movies. What's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting. It's a great line. It's really funny, but it's at the same time it's also just suspenseful because she doesn't know what we know, which is that she's being menaced by a mad killer. And it's the way that the movie bends the fourth wall without actually breaking it. The characters never actually address the viewer, so it's not that sort of thing, but it is the awareness that it creates of these kids who, just like us, love horror movies, creates a tremendous amount of suspense because it makes us feel like, oh my God, this could be us. And it's like, what if we were actually put in one of these situations? We love watching horror movies, and all of a sudden we're watching a bunch of kids who love horror movies having to deal with like their worst nightmares come to life. Thankfully, Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson were just out to entertain us. They weren't out to make a political statement. It could have been almost frighteningly plausible, maybe to the point of cruelty, if they wanted to go in that direction, but they didn't. They just wanted us to have a good time, and that they definitely did. Another thing I love about the movie is that even though Kevin Williamson clearly wrote it with sequels in mind, and you can tell by the way that certain other characters, non-central characters, interact with each other. The ones who survive, you can tell that they interact in a way that in the first film makes sense for the plot that it's serving, but you can tell there's more that he wanted to tell with those characters. That being said, even though he clearly wrote it with sequels in mind, he wrote it also well enough that if no sequel was ever greenlit, the movie would be satisfying on its own. There wouldn't be there would have been the movie's central mystery is resolved. It's cathartic, it's thrilling, it's extremely satisfying, and it's very funny and suspenseful and sexy from start to finish. And it's a really wild roller coaster ride. Really dynamite performances. Everyone's got their favorite as a standout. But I always related to Randy. But there were just so many, especially like God, his little, especially his little meltdown in the video store when trying to explain why somebody was definitely the killer and it wasn't someone else. That was absolutely something I would have probably that was absolutely probably a rant I would have went on at that age before I developed better social skills. But it's just really I love this movie so much. I could talk about it for hours and I don't have the time, but it's so exhilarating to me, and I'm so glad that I got to see it in the theaters. I mean, that's the way it was meant to be seen. And it was the communal sense of being in the audience, being like on a thrill ride, like a roller coaster ride. It was just so amazing. I like so many images and scenes stand out. The garage scene, Sydney's falling out the second story window. if you hang up on me, you'll die just like your mother. Another moment where my heart just like sank like a stone. It was just terrified. It was just incredible. It was um uh Henry Winkler's unbilled cameo where he's kind of like sort of acting like the Fonz from Happy Days, but not really. Um, it's just I mean, I've gone on for a long, long time. I could continue to go on, but and we'll talk about this together. But I absolutely love this movie. Garrison, what's your first extreme experience? How did you fall in love?
Um, my story is quite different than yours. I'm still young, so I was not old enough to see in theaters. No, I was 8 when it came out, and my sister's your age, so um, they rented it. I was 8 from. I didn't get to see. I've never seen. I've seen 4, 5, and 6 in theaters. I never got to see the original trilogy. I was too young, but I was there. I was there because I was my sister obviously because she was the age group for her was in love with it and I they rented it and I got past the only thing I got to when I was a kid it was the part where he says if you hang up on me I'll gut you like a fish understand and I said I have to leave now. I was like I am too scared can you please walk me to my grandmother's and they did. They walked me down the alleyway to my grandmother's and they went back and watched it. And then I was too scared for a year. A year went by. And then I will never forget. I did not. I saw Scream 2 before I saw Scream, which is terrible. But I was a 9-year-old, and I Know What You Did Last Summer had came out. I had just found Buffy, and Scream 2 was out at the same time at our Blockbuster. So we rented I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream 2, and it was one of the most amazing nights of my life because my cousin would spend the summer with us, and it had just came into rent that summer. I know it probably had came out way before that, but they came out at the same time, and we had a whole night. And I remember Scream 2, um, I never could guess who the killer was. I didn't really know, but for some reason I knew what was going on, but I didn't know because I feel like the movies are made extremely well where you can actually do that. Like you can watch it and besides the point. Fast forward to a few, I don't know, I got Scream on VHS finally and I watched it and I remember having a great time with it where I became like obsessed and I watched it over and over again. Especially um, what my favorite thing about Scream, and it was kind of what I love about Know What You Did Last Summer, is that, and I do find that only Scream 1 and 2 kind of have this, but the intensity at which the chase scenes go, like, or how drawn out they are. Sydney in the house and in the out on the farm, it's like I feels like it's a good or at least 1/4 of the movie, and we keep cutting back to it. It's exhilarating. The same thing with Scream 2 with the entire like I find that the last act of all 3 of the first movies are fantastic. Like they're like some of the best parts. But what I kind of want to focus on, I guess, is that what we kind of discuss is the nostalgia of the movie. I just remember Scream being everywhere. I remember going to see a movie with my family and Scream 2's logo was out there and I was too scared. I was like, I don't even want to look at it because I had just seen Scream or seen that tiny opening of the Scream and of Scream and I was like, no. It was the opening of Scream is extremely scary for someone younger and um but also something about Scream is that it, and I find it's kind of lost now. The cast is very much like the talent of the time. Like it's kind of like who we watched on TV, and I don't think we have that like transition anymore. It's not really a transition because TV is just as big as movies now, and but you know the young people, the young talent back then to get a get their name out there. They did it. Scream. You had to get a Scream like movie or something like a teen movie to hit off, and then you can transition into the movies. I kind of liked that feeling, like where Scream dominated the entertainment weekly, and you could see your favorite actors and actresses of the time wanting to be in the movie, and then these big photo spreads. That's something I think that is unique to the time, but also Scream dominated and it felt very interactive. But to stay on like topic with this with Scream, um, so Randy was your favorite character?
I mean, yeah, he was the one I identified with the most and he made me laugh the most. And I think that from what I understand, I think he was Kevin Williamson's too. I feel like he was Kevin Williamson's stand-in. I think that I could be wrong, but
He was the undercover gay guy that had pretended to have a crush on the girl.
no, but but I think that he was the character that kind of represented like almost the soul or the hook of the series in a way at first because he was the because it was because the film was obviously you know, people who like horror movies are just going to watch horror movies, but the way the film was constructed and written, it was specifically written for people who who loved horror movies. Not just it wasn't just for them. It was like inclusive, like the film included like you know, because it was it was specifically written about kids who loved horror films, and so it made us feel included in the journey in that way. I think that like heightened the suspense too, and I think that Randy with his rabid love of horror films, his inability to keep his mouth shut, his constantly quoting, making pop culture references at inappropriate times, and also happening to be right about 98% of the time. Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy that's the guy I identified with, and I think it's the guy that Kevin Williamson identified with too.
It's a very simple formula. Everybody. I will say this.
Everybody's a suspect.
As a teen, well, a preteen and stuff, I did find Randy very entertaining, and I liked him. The older I got, and the more we watched the movies, I liked him less and less. He very much annoyed me. He seemed like he never got. I mean, he wasn't totally annoying with the Sydney thing because he kind of gave it up in Scream 2. I just, you know, he's not my favorite, and
Right.
I I've always really loved Sydney, even though I am not like Sydney. I like to think that I'm like Sydney, that I would be smart and stuff, but that's not true. I probably think more like Gail, but Gail is coded very gay man coded in the series, so obviously, like, you know, she answers the phone in Scream 2. She's like, and they're like, "Who's this?" She goes, "Gail Weathers, the author of Woodborough Murders. Who's this?" Like, okay, she's like plugging her like, in this like horrible time, like trying to figure out who the
Yeah,
killer is.
power.
Yeah,
Yeah, power gay, like being very power gay.
yeah, you're like, I will never not promote myself, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm vain. I guess I love myself, but I
All you're missing is that red streak.
nice streaks.
Yeah.
Um, no, and I will say, Dewey does not get on my nerves in the original trilogy. He gets on my nerves in 4. Um, but tonight we're kind of focusing on just the first one, but I just think that it is
No,
a
it's okay.
perfect movie. Even though if I rank it, it's not my number one. And I think that's only because I have watched it so many times that, you know, you have to be kind of, I haven't watched it in a while actually, but I've seen it so many times that like it doesn't surprise me. It's still very exhilarating. I still, whenever it gets to the last third of the movie, I sit down and watch it. I was Sydney for Halloween one year. I even like I studied the movie. I still have the costume. I had bought the jean jacket and I had the exact blue shirt and I had the exact black velvet boots because they made them guys in black pants and I had
That's funny. That's cool.
the wounds where they were supposed to be on, and it was so much fun like to do that, and nobody knew who I was. So, but I did, and I had fun.
Do you have a wig?
No, I was the guy version. I was like, I do, I do very, when my hair gets even a little longer, it itches and stuff. I can't stand that. So I didn't have a wig, but, oh, I keep saying, sorry guys. I just think the score was great. Like I do agree with you. Like it's hard for me to differentiate when I felt that way because I didn't see that. I saw Scream 2 first, but whenever the Dimension sign would come across and you would hear that Scream music,
Yeah.
that you kind of associate with dementia film like it's going to be a good scary movie because then I was obsessed
Hmm.
with it. Like it really did. It did really exhilarate horror. People are saying that we're doing that now, and I'm kind of different than you. Like I like bad horror movies. I think they're fun. Like I can't wait to watch Clown in a Cornfield because it looks like a straight to video movie, and I was like, ooh, I want to see this in theaters. I can't wait to see a dumb scary movie in theaters. I do think that Scream is very much like a heightened experience because I like the movies from then, that even the Scream knockoffs, because they felt a certain way. They felt cared for. They felt like real characters. They're also a time capsule without being a total time capsule, I guess. It's kind of like how I feel when I watch old 80s movies that I would used to catch on like AMC. Like I'm nostalgic for it because it felt like I was discovering something. So it kind of taps into that childhood, like this feels like home. So Scream feels that way for me. I don't know how it kind of makes me feel old because I don't know how it feels for younger people to discover Scream because I know there's a great amount of people who love the later ones more, and I it's kind of hard to relate to that, but I also can't relate to the people who saw Scream in theaters when it came out because I didn't get to ever experience that, and that makes me kind of sad. Because did you get to see all three in theaters? Yeah. Imagine my disappointment if my first one to see in theaters was four.
Yeah, yes, you've discussed that with me.
Yeah, I think four is the worst. Like I absolutely
I know you do.
can never grow to love it.
I know you do.
No, I can quote it. I can quote it, but I don't love it.
It's the bastard stepchild of your Scream ranking. You don't talk about it at family reunions.
Yeah, like if you want to talk about it, I'll just read it for filth every day, and I will find every which way reason. And it's the only one I don't like that much. I'm just like, you stay over there. But
in the corner and time out.
And we can get into that if we want to, like if we want, but
No.
I will say this: Scream looks so. One of the things I love about it on the surface level is that it looks so grand. Like right, like her Sydney's house and like everything is very grand. Like the way it's shot is beautiful and it feels very. I know that's intentional. Like you kind of feel like she's alone out there, and it's like very, grandiose and like the house.
Well, yeah. Unlike the victims in most slasher movies, apparently the characters in Scream were all like children of the 1%. So they all live in these like ridiculously gorgeous houses, as opposed to like the middle class neighborhoods that like most kids in horror movies live in.
Did we ever see the outside of Tatum's house? Because I find that her kitchen was small, but she did have those two beds in her bedroom, which was kind of awesome.
Actually, so interestingly enough, that because I did some research, the house where they filmed that in is right across the street from the house that was used as the house for the movie called Shadow of a Doubt, an Alfred Hitchcock movie from the 1940s, and so it's on the same street in the same neighborhood in Santa Rosa. But Santa Rosa is a very beautiful, very, very picturesque and quiet and charming, attractive city in California. And according to what I read, I believe that Tatum's house is 5 beds and 4 baths. So it's a big house.
They filmed it very quaint. That's the only way to say. Like Sydney.
They did.
Quaint. It's filmed like
they did
grandness. With her 2 living rooms and.
They did. Yeah. No, it looked more. Their house looked much more like an average middle class house, like an average middle class house. But Sydney's house with its like gorgeous property, all those like beautiful rolling hills. Casey's house with like that amazing outdoor pool in the backyard. And then there's Stu's farmhouse, or as I like to call the last house in California, because apparently it's like it's like there's like nothing around it for miles. So
right, I think that's so funny because it's based in California too, and you're just like, I mean, I know that there's like the where they have the vineyards and stuff, but it's like these people like we're in the middle of nowhere and like California, but I get it because you
They
can't.
are near, yeah, they are near the vineyards though, yeah.
So,
So
can we let's talk about like we talked about the opening, but I know a lot of people, and I don't want to sound like a broken wheel when we talk about like a broken wheel. I don't want to sound like a broken record, talking about the same things and hitting the same points that every show does. But I know how you say. I don't think Scream ever got as scary as that first opening. Like it is extremely scary. Like I mean, I have seen the opening of the original When a Stranger Calls, and it gave me the same feel. And I know it's inspired.
yes,
Um,
yes.
I remember watching. I watched like I used to be left alone a lot as a teenager because my parents would be gone out of the state to watch my sister play softball. So I could be alone a lot, and I would watch. I would watch these movies, and then I would have to be by myself the whole weekend, and I don't know why I did that to myself. But Scream, I'm from an actual town, but it was very small. And then my cousins are from the country, and I go watch scary movies out there. So it seemed very realistic to me to be played with, especially because we didn't have caller ID when the movie came out. It came out shortly after Scream.
Yeah.
I just remember people used to prank call you like that. And you didn't know who it was. Like you could, yeah. And my cousins used to do stuff like that. They used to put on a mask, and when they would babysit me and come into the room and scare the shit out of me. And I know that that probably sounds terrible, but it was kind of, in hindsight, it was fun, but it's not. But this seemed, because I remember when I was working nights at the hospital, sometimes my coworker would bring her preteen daughter when she couldn't leave her home alone, and she would like say, "I love scary movies, but I don't like the Scream movies." She wrote it because they're unrealistic, and I was like, "Once upon a time." This has been years though, because I remember she wanted to see Texas Chainsaw, the 2014 movie. Um, I said there once upon a time that was extremely realistic. Like, it is funny that they cannot comprehend the world of that movie. Like if people born now, they're like, what? Just what? Why? Like, okay, but we didn't have like it was very rare to have a cell phone. It was very rare to have caller ID, or they didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they even call it in the movie a cellular. Do you have a cellular phone?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, people did have that, but it wasn't not very many. It's true. So it was very people were not like not everybody was walking around with one in their pocket. So
especially,
I was certainly was not at that age.
well, my mom didn't even have like she was a nurse. She had a beeper, and then
Yep.
she did have a bag phone that you kept in your
Hmm.
car. But I like all that. I do kind of like when movies don't really it kind of takes me out of it whenever we see the text on the screen, like like when because we have movies are so ingrained in our thing. I like how these movies still fit. Like there's no like there's technology, but there's not. Except for when
Yep.
she's like, tell
Yep.
operator to call 911 and I was like, can you do that on the internet? Like back then, I don't know, but
Yes.
wow, okay, nice.
Hmm.
I believed it as a kid. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, you could do that back then. Yeah.
I so I have jumped so much to but the opening, I do. I agree, and this is not like a critique. I don't think the movies have ever gotten as scary. They've gotten as suspenseful, but not as scary as that opening. So that's one thing that the movie will always have, because the magic of Drew Barrymore, Wes Craven in the writing. I do want to address something too, though, that you said. It's not a bad. I know, and I'm going to be a hypocrite because I've said things on Ryan's podcast. Everybody keeps praising Kevin Williamson for how Scream turned out, and the older I've gotten, and the more I've watched, I do think the talent is there. I think it's there because he had Vampire Diaries, he's had Dawson's Creek, but those don't have any kind of feel of the heightened feel of Scream. So part of me really believes that Scream is the majority, the talent that they obviously with the staff, but it's not to be I'm not think I'm being controversial, not to be a hypocrite, but I think the success and how the feel of Scream is probably more so for Russ Craven, especially in that heyday. Because I can't say anything because he directed the one I hate the most. But I just feel like a lot of it is Wes Craven because I do know that Kevin Williams, when we talk about, he goes, "Well, Wes will make this scary." Like, there's not a lot of detail in the Scream um, script. Like, there's not a lot of like this blocking, this kind of it's like dialogue, and then Wes will like, well, he did obviously we didn't know, but I think Wes had so much input in what happened that in the quippy, very like you said, sharp dialogue is like a perfect match. But visually is why I love Scream. Not I do like the dialogue a lot, but I think Scream just like flow because you got the talent too that brought the characters to life. Like it's Neff Campbell and Skeet Ulrich and Rose McGowan. Um, I forgot who plays Randy. I know his name, but I don't remember his name.
Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, Jamie Kennedy, who were all kind of perfect. So the casting director was really perfect, and I also think the lady who was behind the scenes with Craven was really Marlena.
Marianne Madalena.
Yeah, was very instrumental. So when you don't have this lightning in a bottle that you can't just give all the credit to, which I'm not saying people are giving all the credit, but the praises that Kevin Williamson get, I don't think is not earned. I just think I don't, I don't, I hate this is going to go on the internet, and I don't think he is the magician that people say. Because I do watch Dawson's Creek, and I've been rewatching it, and I know that's different. It's handled by different people, and he was running the TV. It's just very melodramatic, and I know Scream kind of in the shell seems melodramatic, especially with the mom drama, but it's handled so well that you forget how melodramatic it is, if that makes sense. Did I make any sense?
Of course. Well, for one thing, Kevin Williamson was, he was given more free reign on Dawson's Creek, so he really got to indulge his like as a writer, and obviously it got a lot of flack at the time for being like, oh, teenagers don't really talk like this, and they're like way too articulate. And it was kind of true, but we some of us like accept a lot. Some people who watch it like accepted it as it went along anyway. Scream, like I mean, it was there were like kernels of that here and there, but but he was far more disciplined, I think, mostly because I think he was also coming from a place of hunger, and I think he was trying to like have his own voice but also kind of like be accessible at the same time, so it was a good balance. I think that at least the genius of the first two Screams, I think, is Craven and Williamson's talents combined, really.
Yes.
That's really what I think it is. I'm not gonna, I'm not going to take it all away. I'm not going to take everything away from Kevin Williamson because I know that you and I are on different pages about Scream 3, but Williamson not writing the screenplay, you can feel the difference watching it. You really can.
Can you give me some examples of what you feel is different of Scream 3?
It's not obvious.
No, actually, no, I don't.
So like atmospherically wise, dialogue wise, suspense level wise, like you don't see a difference. But I guess that's okay. I guess I do have to give examples because we are on different pages. That's fine. You know what? I get it. I shouldn't make that assumption. A lot of the humor is much more over the top and campy. I'm not going to discuss the like the murder scenes because anybody who knows at the time knows that they were under immense pressure to keep the blood level down because of the Columbine shooting had just happened. The nation was like really like traumatized over that, so they were just like less blood. So okay, fine, but it seems honestly, to me, it's filmed a lot more like an R-rated episode of Scooby-Doo than it is a suspenseful mystery. So the the byplay between Gale and Dewey in that movie is much different. Now, actually, as it so happens, I actually like their byplay in that movie, but it's much sillier and it's a lot less hard edged. And so is Gale actually a lot less hard edged in that film than I actually just rewatched it recently, like a few days ago, for just because I was home alone and I was dog sitting and I was just like, oh, okay, well, uh, this is in my wheelhouse now. Get ready, I might as well. And I just I was like, I cringed a lot watching it.
Did you?
I did. I did. I was just, it didn't feel as suspenseful to me. It felt, a lot of times it felt really cheesy. Some of the humor really worked though. Some of the humor was good. Like the Carrie Fisher scene is priceless. And
What are you, the reporter for Woodsboro High?
um, you should talk, Judy Durgenstern. Um,
Stage.
um, it's just like, yes, I've been hearing it all my life. I was this close to being Princess Leia. Um,
Do you know who got
it's
it?
the
The
one who sleeps with George Lucas. I love that. That's been Carrie Fisher's like running joke her whole life. She always says that. And she always used to say that, and it was great. Um, so there were definitely some. So there were a lot of the humor worked. Parker Posey was a scene stealing delight. Um, yeah, and the brief touching on of like the way that Hollywood treats women. I thought it was really bold of them to go in that direction in the movie with Harvey Weinstein's name on it.
right, right.
I thought that was pretty ballsy. So I respected for that. But I didn't. But it didn't feel suspenseful to me. And the killer reveal really just left me kind of underwhelmed because the two like it's Ryan of course has a really interesting take on this, and I listened to it, and even though I don't get anything out of it intellectually, I understand his point of view, which is that what if somebody you had never even met or didn't even know existed was trying to kill you. I thought so I'm looking at it from his angle. um, I feel like that's a real intellectually. I understand how that can be kind of wild. Um, but at the same time, on the film, it doesn't like to me. It just doesn't play at all because, and I think it's just in like it breaks from the precedent the first two had set in the sense that the people that had been going after Sydney were like knew her and she knew them. And so when he finally takes off his mask and he starts telling her and he starts telling her about his whole life story and she's just looking at him like, huh? I'm like, yeah, girl, I feel you.
I I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't feel like if I was to watch them, I really wouldn't feel like three was not written by Kevin Williamson. Like I didn't really know that when I was younger, but because it's very melodramatic, but it's handled kind of like one because we have all this backstory of Maureen and we have these dreams, and I do think it feels intense, especially Sydney's scenes are very intense in Scream 3. So I feel like it has the bite of the other two. It doesn't have the chase scenes, the intense chase scenes as the first two, but I think they were trying to be less brutal because of Columbine.
Right.
But I agree with you that it is funny. This is where I don't agree with a lot of the fandom because we talk about how everybody says that, which when I rewatch, I don't find four to be funny. Like they say, it's the silliest one. I don't find it to be silly because it's trying to be silly, and I don't find that
Mm-hmm.
six is either. Like Scream, I don't find Scream 3, like I used to think it was the funniest fun one, but Scream 3 is the easiest rewatch for me. That's why I rank it higher than the first one because it's an easy rewatch. Like I have a good time from start to finish. I don't it's not my favorite opening, but I think it works. And I love banter is one of my favorite things that I feel like human beings can do. And I think that the Gail and Judy Jurgenstern's and Dewey's. um, whole, you know, Scooby Doo thing is very entertaining, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the opening when Gail's like talking to the college, and they kind of throw a jab at her, but she handles it very well. I think Gail's very emotionally strong in this one because she's like, I think what's done better in Scream 3 than 4 is that we try to beat down Gail in Scream 3, but she doesn't give a shit. And in Scream 4, you're like, you see the weakness, you're like, why does she care? Like, why is she jealous of Sydney? Because I never think, even if it was going better for Sydney, because Gail is Gail Weathers, I don't think that Gail would ever be like, well, I'm not me anymore. What do I just don't think that would even come to her brain. Like she would be like, I'm Gail Weathers. Like shit, I don't care that Sydney wrote this self-help book. It's a self-help book. Like a I mean, it may not be a self-help book, but I think it. Anyway, to not be off point because I have all these points in my head.
No, it's
I
fine.
love the scenes that pertain to Sydney in Scream 3. I think it's some of Sydney's best scenes. Like I really feel for her when she talks to her dad about why did she have so many secrets, or when she has um that really scary nightmare of her mom at the window. It's very like Freddy Krueger. Like I think but it's done well. Like it's like a flashback. Like you see kind of how like when they're having. I don't think it's done very well in Scream 5 when she's seeing Billy Loomis, but Sydney's seeing her mom and all this stuff, and I don't think twice about it being like an hallucination or in her brain, or is it Roman pretending with the voice thing. I think it's a nice touch. That means I feel very emotional for Sydney, and I think it's the best representation of what an adult Sydney would be, helping people in the privacy of her home on the hotline. I think that is so Sydney. I don't think that the portrayal of Sydney in 4 of her going on a book tour, and even though it's like a have to, like, but I just don't see her doing that. I don't see her going out to the spotlight like that. I don't think that she would want to be a target. I know people don't agree with me. I feel like Sydney would be really quiet, not locked away, but I don't think that she would do that. It made me feel weird that she would. I don't know. I don't really have to talk. I just think Scream 3 gets a lot of things right, and I do think the melodramatic third act is quite good, especially where he's like, "Look, I've been videotaping her for all this time and all this," and like, that's scary to me. Like, I don't know you, like you said, but you're obsessed with me. You created this whole thing, like, but again, I cannot comprehend because I was probably more so brought up like Sydney because I was well taken care of, even though all that stuff's happened to her. Living a life where no one wanted you. You have this lady who you track down who wants nothing to do with you. I have no telling of what kind of life this person had in the foster system. So I can see it. Like they're like, you know what? I'm so determined because I wanted this. I wanted this. She wanted this. Like she wanted to be a big star. So I'm gonna have what my mom didn't have because she didn't want me. So I'm gonna be a big time director and be a star. And well, shit, Sydney's a star. Like, why is she talked about more than me? I'm not saying it's okay. It's like saying like I understand. Um, uh,
You're pulling a Chris Rock. I'm not saying you should have killed her.
no,
I understand.
I just think like I like how the first 3 movies had such extreme psychos, like you could say like the 4th one, but are pulled off so much better. Like they never felt, even though Roman was the closest, like whiny brats that were just like, but it's mine. Like it's like they felt dangerous. They felt I, I don't feel like Sydney's cousin in 4 feels dangerous to me. Like she acts like a little brat girl and I just feel like she could have been more menacing or whatever. I don't know. And Sydney wouldn't go down like that. Like I just don't think Sydney would go down with just a stab to the stomach. Like let her do that, even though she's in shock of her cousin doing that.
Okay, well, since you brought that into the mix,
Jill. Why do I keep forgetting everybody's name? It's Jill. Sorry, it's Sydney's cousin.
Jill, that's okay.
So shady.
Since you brought that into the mix, I do agree with you that the killers in the first trilogy feel menacing physically in a way that the killers in the subsequent movies do not. However, generally speaking, I don't mind Jill. The difference between Jill and Roman acting like whiny brats. Jill is a teenager, and I teenagers have a tendency to be whiny brats. Not all of them, but it's much more easy to. But it's easier to go in that direction emotionally for a teenager. That's number one. With Roman, it's kind of like, how silly is it that you've used your anger to build yourself up and build this life for yourself where you're becoming like a really up and coming ace movie director in Hollywood and are getting greenlit for all these projects and you're being successful and you're like even sleeping with actresses, but you are still like so completely consumed with rejection from this woman who you tracked down because you needed to know who your bio mom was, which I understand the need for that. But once you found that information, you didn't reach out to contact her first and be like, hey, listen, FYI, you gave me up when I was a baby. Or there was no, that's not really how that works. There's usually some sort of middle ground, like an intervening agency work for the foster care agency, like contacts people. And there's a discussion as to whether or not the birth parent actually wants to meet the child. So the idea that like so even if you're skipping that, the idea that he tracked her down when there was clearly not a conversation where she said, oh, I want to talk to him someday. Like he just like tracked her, he just like basically he stalked her anyway. He stalked her anyway and tracked her down and expected her to give him a big hug. Like, no, you're some strange adult man, and she's like this middle-aged woman. What are you doing? What are you doing? So that's number one. That's number one. So that's clearly him being that's clearly like a sign of his already being unstable. I didn't mean to cut you off. But so that's number one. But then number two, as far as Jill goes, and I've already discussed this too, like on other, with Ryan and with Zach, and on when they've been, had episodes about this. Jill just isn't physically menacing, but she scares the crap out of me more than any other Ghostface because she's just the most evil, and she's really just. I mean, yes, she is angry, she's resentful at Sydney, but she's also really just but she really wants everything that she thinks Sydney has, kind of like Roman thoughts that Sydney has the life she's just the center of attention. It's not a center of attention kind of thing that she wanted, just kind of was thrust upon her by psychotic circumstances, and evil killers being obsessed with her. But Jill wants that. She wants the power. She wants the fame. She wants all that. She wants to be, an Instagram influencer. Okay, good. But with Jill, I think what makes her so chilling to me is that one, she's this kid who was like 2 years old when the first killing spree happened. And the fact that like this relative that who you've known since a child, like grow up, like even from a distance, and now all of a sudden is like plotting to kill you. That's terrifying to me, number one. Number two, unlike Scream 3 and Scream 2, when they're like, surprise, this person who you've been watching the whole time isn't really like a local reporter. It's actually the mom of the guy you killed in the first one, or it's actually your secret half brother you never knew you had. The difference in 4 and what I respect about it was they got Jill's relationship to Sydney out in the open right in the beginning. So there was no soap opera like dumbness about like, haha, I have a secret identity you have the whole time. It takes a lot of the fun out of a murder mystery trying to guess who the culprit is when it turns out they're actually like a secret, like a person from your past that like you never could have guessed anyway. It's like it's kind of cheating, I think.
Well, they only did that with one character in Scream 2, and she was there the whole time, and she didn't interact with Sydney, so Sydney would have clocked her tea.
Of course,
pretty early on, if she would have.
Of course, but as a viewer, it's kind of annoying when it's a little. I find it a little bit annoying because it's like, and it's a way to be. I find it frustrating to try to like when you're wondering who the killer could be, and then it turns out that the only reason that the reveal works is because they actually have a secret identity, and that's the only reason they're there. So, and in hindsight, it kind of makes it. It feels like a cop out to me. I don't enjoy it. I feel like I've been. It ruins. I feel like it ruins my fun trying to solve the mystery when they can just pull that rabbit out of a hat and there can be no like groundwork for that, no clues to be like, oh, I should have seen that coming because XYZ. No.
Well,
Sorry, I'm a stickler about this.
it's fair to say that if the killer is repeating Woodsboro, that they might be Woodsboro. That's all. No, I mean, I get it. I know that people love Jill. I do love I do love Emma Roberts in Scream Queens and everything else she did after Scream 4. I'm not saying that she did a bad job. I
Yes,
just
you are.
think that the character tried to play cat and mouse, tried to slither on the screen, and it's just not. The only time it was good is when she was hurting herself. Like having her against Nev Campbell, you really just show how young she was. Like she wasn't ready yet for that role to be seductive and be menacing. Like she really, I just think that that whole movie, I didn't like the cast that much. I think they did horrible with the returning characters. I was annoyed by Sydney. I was annoyed by Gail. I was annoyed by Dewey, and I don't ever want to feel that way. Um, and I just think that that's not the characters I wanted to watch. I didn't even love Kirby that much. She bothered me at her house when she was whining about shit. Like it was the most teenagery that any of the movies feel to me by the characters. I think that coming from the original three and that being the first one you rewatch, I don't feel like that house was grand that they're in. I don't feel I really I just got into this whole discussion and had the whole Patreon saying I was wrong. I think that the Stabathon is such a waste of time. Like it doesn't look like it just looks like, and I know people say, well, duh, it's just a barn with some. Hey, if we've been doing this each year, we have perfected this and it should have been creepier. It should have been fun to look at. It should have felt like a carnival, even if it wasn't that much, like decorations. Also, this is movie land. I don't want to see regular life. Like I want to see something that looks grand and I want to see something that looks spooky. I mean, we got all of that in the first three with the Scooby Doo house, and we had, I mean, shit, we took a break and we had a whole theater thing, and it was great. Like you just felt like you were in this great movie, and like you had this whole barn land in the first one where she was going through this extravagant house and fell out and jumped out the window, and now we're in all this like decrepit barns like or farmland. And I mean we don't get any of that before. Like we get tiny houses, like, or not houses, we don't get anything. Like we just get okay, they're in a very nice 2000s, like a 1990, like, or I mean that 2000s decorated boring house with um these people complaining. Like I just think it's terrible. I think that the idea is fantastic. I think that her motive is fantastic. I think um, the idea is great. It doesn't feel like Scream, and I know everybody's like, "Well, it tried to do something different. It failed." Like I just it just is. It didn't capture the feeling I wanted of
I
it.
no, I hear what you're no, I hear what you're saying, and yes, you did manage to turn the entire group chat against you with this take. But I'll of course I'll stick by you, even though I disagree with you. Because I won't let them X you out. But yeah, I did think that was funny that they were gonna like make like one episode of like the entire group against you. It's like, but yeah, there I do have a lot of complaints with Scream 4. I do think that the Filmcraft was really, really lacking, shockingly, despite the high budget. I was really surprised. It seemed like the crew they were so rusty they had forgotten how to edit a film because it was so choppy. I was, they bungled a lot of potentially really great scare moments. Um,
Yeah,
I
if the
don't.
framing of the Stabathon was different, I probably would have enjoyed that sequence a lot.
Mm,
Like it was very tight instead of like grand, like it should have been
mm.
menacing. Like I didn't ever feel like Gail was in trouble in that scene, the way that it was framed. I just felt like, okay.
Oh, I did, but I don't. I did, but I think that a lot of it was execution wise was really messy. The CGI knife bored the crap out of me. I was like, what are you even doing this? I felt I felt like in order to compensate for Scream 3, they went way over the top with the gore in Scream 4. Even though some of it appeared to be like CGI-ish, it was kind of just stupid. Um, I also, again, everyone talks about how it looks like Vaseline was smeared all over the lens. Like, I don't know what the color scheming grade was going on with that. But other parts of it did work. I don't agree with you on Hayden Panettiere's characterization. I thought she was great, and honestly, I thought she kept the film on life support until the killer reveal. I thought she was like the most best part about Scream 4. I did think that the opening scene, I thought the first 3 minutes before they did the Stab 6 title drop um, was really, I kind of felt like my Scream had gotten back after the total lack of suspense that Scream 3 had for me. I felt like I could feel my heart racing start to race again. I don't think that Scream 4 is the silliest. I think that the opening scene with the multiple stab title drops, yeah, was the silliest. And I do think that some of the interplay with some of the characters were ridiculous at first, especially anytime Robbie and Charlie were on screen, and Trevor, quite frankly. But that being said, I actually think that Scream 4, for a 10-minute stretch, was actually the darkest the franchise had ever gone in direction wise, because of how evil Jill is, and because of how sinister her plan was, and because all the rage and the hatred had literally like turned her into she wasn't like a broken person like a lot of the other like killers had been in the past, who were like they were deeply disturbed and messed up and seriously effed up human beings, but they were also like it was coming from a place of pain. Jill's pain had calcified into absolute like dead-hearted rage, and I'd never seen that before, and that was really scary to me. And so between that and between her absolutely classic self-harming scene, um,
That was my favorite part. I was like, okay,
yeah,
I can get on.
I was like the way she threw herself into it, literally. That absolutely, uh, that was like that scene alone was just like, oh my God, we're really gonna go there. Like they're really gonna go in this direction that they you know, really just really threatening to take the series into a really dark, disturbing place. And then, of course, they backed out at the end. But that studio intervention and what have you, and everyone's like, no, you can't end the movie like this. Everyone's going to be depressed. You have to have that ending. Oh, okay. Well, that being said, that said, I do have a lot of issues with Scream 4's execution, but I think that the basic skeleton of the plot is probably better than almost any of the sequels. I think if they had been able to pull it off better, I liked again, I love Jill is my favorite killer, and I think that it's unfortunate that she's not in a better film, but I also think that she wouldn't have been able to fit in any other film. And I think it's really just disappointing that because of the way Scream 4 was executed, it ends up plot wise probably being like the least relevant in the entire franchise, because but like there's no really lasting like damage. Like everybody pretty much like forgets about it. In fact, if Kirby didn't show up in 6, it would almost be like in its own little universe. There
Yeah.
wouldn't be like any connection. So that said, I really it's I don't love it, but um there's enough about it that really impresses me that I still kind of enjoy rewatching it.
I mean, I'll put it on. Like, I don't sit there, like, some of it, I'm just like, okay. I
Put
just,
it on right now.
they really, the thing that I don't forgive is how it treats the trio. And I just
No,
can't,
I agree. That's
I
my
can't
least
find
favorite
any
version of
effort in that
Gail and
movie.
Dewey. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hard to watch. Like,
Yeah.
than be a shell of their other character. Because I
Mhm.
really enjoy Sydney in Scream 5. Like I know she's there for a little bit, but it feels like Sydney. Like I was
Mhm.
very excited when I watched it. Um, Scream 5, I don't really have a desire to watch over and over again, but I had a really good time in the theater. I did not like not to hate so much on Scream 4. I'll never forget how I felt. I was watching Scream 4 and I was like, I said, I can't believe I hate a Scream movie. Like the whole movie, I'm like, it'll get better. The ending's always better. I remember the lights went off, the screen, like all that. And my cousins were like, I loved it. I was like, that was a horrible movie. Like I remember being like, this movie was terrible. And I felt so betrayed. And I understand how people feel when I asked about six, but I like six. So I guess that, but I will say this, like to my defense, I think my expectations of the Scream movie died when I saw Scream 4. I think I never expected it to go back to the heyday. I was just like, okay, well, I have my three, and this one's okay. Because in the end of the day, Scream 4 is fine. Like it's okay, but it never reaches the heights of what it could have been. And then I had no expectations for five, and I watched five, and it didn't do my chase scene. So I was like, okay, but I had so much fun with Sydney. And I wasn't sad about Dewey. I don't think that was executed correctly. I think I could have been sadder, or it could have been a finale sadness, like when they were all three together again, and him sacrifice himself for one of them, and or the new kid. Uh, But they chose to do it middle through the movie. But I had so much sympathy for Dewey. I actually thought it made more sense for them not to be together, him and Gail, and for her to actually be in New York. I think that's how 4 should have been. Like, it would have been more tragic and they could have been I just think it to see them so broken in 4, even though it makes sense if to see them broken in 4 to go to 5, it just felt like, no, like, they loved each other. I think they loved each other too much to be together. Like, I get that feeling that when they that intenseness of what's happening, they would collide and it would be perfect because they have the intenseness, but we all knew, like, and she even said it in 3, or he said it would never work. Um, I just think they work more as, like, a longing for each other couple, or
Mhm.
it's kind of like, do you really wanna see Gale and Sydney adventures every day? Like, you kinda only wanna see them when the ghost face signal goes off into the sky like Batman.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm not delusional, like, I don't think that it would ever work if, like, they were friends all the time, it just doesn't work,
Mm.
but, and then in 6, I was ready, and we have to go back to Scream 2 because it's my favorite, and we kind of glossed over Scream Scream 6, though, I wanna say, oh, before we go, do you have any thoughts on 5?
Well, first I wanted to say, so now I know that Scream 4 is the reason why you have so much hate in your heart. But then going back, all right. But no, a Scream 5, yeah, let's go quickly on Scream 5. I don't have that much to say about it because I've said a lot about it before, but I will just for the purposes of here now. I enjoy it. I do. I think it's after the first two films, my interest kind of like wanes off. But I think Scream 5 is the one of the subsequent films that I think I enjoy rewatching the most. And a lot of that has to do, I think, with the feeling of being re-energized after 3 and 4 were kind of like floundering. I think 5, um, well, 5 is really not very suspenseful, which would be a buzzkill for me, and it kind of is because this is a horror movie, like I should be on the edge of my seat, and there are really only a few moments here and there where I am. But that being said, I was really impressed with the character work and the acting. A lot. I thought there were some really strong performances in 5. Um, the trilogy, like David Arquette, like was the standout of the trilogy, obviously in 5, for me.
Yeah.
But um a lot of the new cast really did were outstanding. Thought Jenna Ortega was terrific. Jack
That
Quaid was
opening, yeah, I
I
don't give enough credit. That opening, it was hard to watch. Like, I was like, "No, please leave this girl alone." Like,
yeah.
and that's the first time I felt that way since the second one. Like, I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god." Like, I was like, "Wow, it's kinda going there." Like, it And I will say that Scream 4's opening is so horrible that I probably disconnected for the rest of the movie. But Scream 5 caught my attention with that opening. Like I was like, this is someone who cared to make, even though it was a callback, and I'm tired of callbacks to the first. I felt like it was somebody who loved the first one made that opening, and
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and it was definitely it was definitely too reminiscent of the first one to really, um, you know, be like stand out or like be ranked near the top of the opening. If you're going to rank the openings, it's too much like the first one to rank too high. But it really did. But Jenna Ortega was great.
yeah,
And by the way, so was Roger Jackson. Who we have
yeah.
to give
He
credit
was
for being
yeah,
Ghostface because
yeah.
it really gave him the chance to like do something a little bit different in the opening, a little bit more, being a little less predictable, and that was fun. That was fun for him to like not to not like show like show his like what's the phrase, to not like reveal all his cards right away, to give him the ability to like play someone who was pretending to be like her mom's friend in the beginning and to use his normal voice before he went all like menacingly like cigar like cigarette smoky like bourbon drinking like Ghostface. um so that was one of that was a few that was a curveball right there that I appreciated. And so I thought the two of them, I thought those two really sold the opening sequence very well. So and I actually like the opening in six even more, but we can get to that after, we can get to that in a bit. um but so no, I thought the acting was good. Jenna Ortega, Jack Quaid, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, who did not nearly get enough to do, and unfortunately, because he was stuck in like the requel trope, that they were like, again, a lot of the characters were like felt stuck in like certain thing, like had to do certain things to like be an act to map the movie be an accurate commentary on fan service sequels. But I thought that they were both did really well with what material they had to do. And apparently Mason Gooding was so irresistibly charming that they brought him back for six. So
How
that
very
worked out well. What?
how very dewy of him.
Yes, exactly. Um, and uh, Jasmine Savoy Brown was terrific in five. And she got unfortunately less to do in six. Well, ostensibly more to do, but she didn't do it as well. And it could have been either her or the writing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who to blame for that. I think it was probably the writing. Um, but I actually did really enjoy five, and I actually thought that the toxic fandom commentary was spot on. So I really, really, so yeah, I really like, I think five is perfectly fine. I like it.
And that's how I would describe it. This is not a knock. I think it's good. I think five is a very safe movie. Like it's still stuck on not moving on. Like Scream 2 and Scream 3, of course, they weren't a franchise yet. Like they were still making push the franchise forward. Like you repeated some things, but we also introduced a lot more world building. I felt so stuck in 4 and 5. Like I was like, well, we're still here. We still want to be in Woodsboro. Like we were in Woodsboro for one movie in the original trilogy, and here we are. We're like, we got to go back to the beginning. Like I don't give a shit. Like I don't like. I don't give a shit about Woodsboro. Like I didn't have any ties to Woodsboro. Like you would for like Nightmare on Elm Street to be in the original place, or like a Haddonfield, like in Halloween. I feel like I don't know why you feel like because those places don't actually go other places too. Like like how very rare are we after a few sequels that were in those original towns sometimes. Um, I could be wrong because Nightmare on Elm Street could always take place on Elm Street, and because I'm not a huge fan, even though I like them, but I know Halloween, like we go like we have one movie that's not even about Michael Myers, and then we have one where she's at a boarding school in California. But anyway, um,
But yeah, the rest of them all take place in Haddonfield.
well,
So
anyway,
it just makes you wonder why the townspeople don't wise up and just like leave.
or just ban Halloween. I know that's in some scripts, but with I the one thing like I do love how Scream used to be handled like a extreme soap opera, but toned to the fact where it feels heightened. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like the story keeps moving, but it's scary. I don't know. It's nothing else like it, I find. But Scream Six dared to. This is it's like no, it's terrible. I didn't dare. I liked that we went to New York, even though I know people complain that it doesn't feel like New York. I mean, I don't
Oh,
know.
I didn't have a problem with that at all.
I've been to New York one time. I was like, okay, but I stayed a week, but I'm not an expert. But I was like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I was too.
I just thought the opening. I know people say that it loses its luster after the first time you watch it. I don't think so. Like I kind of I love, even though it's not a well put together movie. The more you talk about Scream Six, I was on the edge of my seat. I saw it twice in theaters because I went with my friend, and I was like, oh my god! Like I felt tired after the movie, and I was like, finally, this is what I want. Because if I can't have what I had in the first three, can you at least make me have a roller coaster ride through these movies like I used to have? If we can't have both, if we can't have a good script that is real, like so intertwined, and so can I just have one? Like, and if I and we're not gonna have a good script, so let's just go ahead and have a roller coaster. And they gave me that, and I was like, I'm excited because I thought Sam was great. I thought Tara was great, even though people keep saying she's not a character. I found that she was great in five. Like she wasn't the acting was good, and like she might be a blank character that's not developed, but I felt like you could. And I don't agree with a lot of people in the groups that talk about it because I feel like the sister it may not have been the main, and it may be how my brain works. I might fill in things. I don't know. I felt like they experienced something together in five, and I think it's safe to say that Tara wants to live her life and that Sam wants to protect her. I don't think that those are two, either one is wrong. I think those are just reactions to what you get. Like some people after trauma get reckless because they like, well, I don't have a lot to lose. I've already been through this, or I want to experience life. And one of them, I have so much to lose, and I'm an addict, so I have to like be careful, and I like to kill, and why? Like, you know what I mean? And I think that the movie doesn't go too heavy because I don't feel like they wanted to, but I also feel like we go through a lot of roller coaster rides. I liked the characters. I liked the core four. I thought it was silly, and I know people hate that they named themselves, but I was like, yeah, core four, let's go. I'm on for this adventure. Let's do this. I liked Gail in it. I don't think that I think regression is very much Gail. She's like, I have to do what I know best because now I'm for real sad. Like Sydney's gone. Again, I'm not the whole not excitement, the intensity of everything happening is gone, and now my best friend that I left in Woodsboro because it couldn't work is gone. I can't write that heavy because that's not Gail. Gail's not. She didn't write, to my knowledge, a very heavy book that was not about her. It was about Sydney and her mom. Like, why would she not write a book? Even though she said she didn't want to, and she didn't want to be infamous, which is a great line. It's great, but I don't feel cheapened that that she did it. I was like, duh, Gail's gonna write a story about it. Like, I mean, and she's not gonna deal with her if she's doing it this quick. She's not gonna deal with her emotions, and I'm not a huge fan of her chase scene. I don't hate it. Like I feel like it could have been grander, even though it was pretty grand. I don't think it was bad, but I do think that the series works without Sydney and not in a negative way. I think that we've gotten a lot of Sydney. I think that we've gotten a lot of Sydney's family's all evil. People around her are just terrible. Sometimes that's a lot. Like it is movies. I know people say it is movies. You want to see it, but I don't really want to watch a whole bunch of movies about one character getting like her whole life ruined. It gets kind of like a lot, and
Bad.
yeah, like you're just like, okay, like is she ever gonna have? It's fine if I do. I'm like, okay, Sydney's got this, and I think Gail fits into it because she likes it. You know what I mean? Like, Gail's like, I'm here. It's my like, you know what? This is my shit. Like, let's do this. So I think she fits, and I like how she was intertwined, but also we were passing the torch to this new group. I just felt like we had such momentum to go into another movie about Sam and Tara, but I also feel satisfied if we are on hold with them too, because I feel like she's like, "Yeah, you're pretty fucked up, Sam," by the end of that movie, and I kind of cool with it because these people are killing people left and right. You got rid of them. Like, I mean, I may, I may not mess with you free, so you kill me. Because I know a lot of people say we didn't discover we're okay with Tara being okay with this, and I feel like, yeah, okay. I mean, I might be kind of like, what do you call it? When people don't have a, I mean, I have emotions, but when I'm like, okay.
Okay, good to know.
But I mean, I don't watch it and be like, yeah, like that's not Sam. She would do that. I was like, yeah, she's got a lot of anger. She doesn't deal with it. She's like, okay.
Yeah. As far as six goes, so yeah, that even though it is my least favorite of the movies to date, I will say, uh, I do think it's the most suspenseful outside the first two. And I as a thriller, I think it's the best one we have since the first two. And I do appreciate it. I know that Eric, who most people on this watching this will not know, but he's another patriot, he's another member of our group, and he also just made a short film with Zach, which is really, really exciting. Um, he said that he doesn't feel like Scream Six really felt like it was set in New York. And as a lifelong New Yorker, I agree, but that doesn't bother me because a lot of movies that are filmed and or set in New York don't really feel like they capture like the unique New York City vibe. So I don't think that Scream Six is worse than any of other movie in that capacity. And I will say also, as somebody who takes the New York City subway system every day, that scene absolutely had me tearing my hair out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
well done to the filmmakers on that. Um, the one thing I will say is that your point about Scream Six going in a different direction because it was freed from the constrictions of like the Requel formula and commentary in five, I agree with that, and I do think they have the potential to go in a really interesting direction. Um, Unfortunately, different doesn't always mean good, and I think that that's what happened here. Um, it was also the first time that from a meta standpoint and a commentary standpoint, I really think that the film had nothing to say. Um, all the other previous films pretty much justified their existence, whether it was horror movies, sequels, trilogies. That one didn't quite land for me, but at least the commentary on Hollywood's exploitation of women did. Remakes and like influencer culture, and then requels and toxic fandom. There like that's one, two, three, four, five, six. What do they have? Franchise?
Well,
Like
that and they didn't successfully do cancel culture. Like the whole thing at Sam was like cancel culture.
cancel culture. Okay. Um,
Which I didn't. I'm not saying it's strong, but it's not entirely like something you should build a whole
I
movie
mean,
around.
I'll go along with it. I'll take you at your word. I felt, but I don't think they pulled it off, and I felt it was like too much of a stretch to even believe that for
Well, is
me.
it really meta that that Spyglass tried to cancel Melissa after? Gotcha.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair.
um, no, I mean, but I like we said before, you don't always have to say something. I kind of get annoyed with that. Like it's a sequel, and we have to be about
No, but you would, but all the other films at least had a point of view in terms of in terms of the film itself and like like the running commentary and the running it's what makes the franchise unique. It's because
yeah,
it's a sequel that's talking about a sequel that like talking about other sequels. It's a remake that like it's a running commentary on remakes and taking a different theme. Good point about Spyglass canceling Melissa. That hadn't occurred to me, so that
I
was
had to
smart.
feel like we didn't get meta enough. You know what pulled me?
That No, that was no, I appreciate that was no, that's actually smart. So yeah, okay, so what is that? Life imitating art. I That was really smart. I think it's for the record, I don't agree with them terminating her contract, even though they can do whatever they want. But that being
Shitty to do.
what?
I
What?
think it's really shitty to like do that to a person personally. Like you could have
Yeah,
just said we parted ways.
yeah, I know.
We're
No,
going to.
I thought it was foul. Um, and I wish her all the best. But so that being said, I also thought the characterization was terrible. I thought that the kills, while they were really intense, um, most of the kills in the film were like people we like didn't even, had nothing to do with anything. Most of them were just were like bystanders. So there was no emotional development there. There was no sense of bonding between us and them. Um, um,
Yeah.
I thought that Scream Six Kirby was absolutely god awful, like arguably the worst FBI agent I've ever fictional FBI agent ever,
Hmm.
um, and not to mention Gail writing a whole book on the Woodsboro 22 massacre and not realizing that the police officer she was talking to was the dad of the guy that who did it
No,
the previous year. Um, uh,
I
she's too good of a reporter to miss something like that. It makes her look really stupid, and it makes Kirby look really stupid. And
well, she missed the even though she has an excuse for that, but she saw photos of Mrs. Loomis and she's like, I've seen photos of you. Yes, they could have been more
except of course, but yes, but it might make sense that Sydney would immediately recognize her and Gail wouldn't.
yeah.
That would make sense.
No, I agree with you. I think the finale of Scream 6 leaves a lot to be desired. I'm like, this is a lot of mess. And but I do love the sister, like, so I can ignore that. Like, I can, like, it should be better. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying Scream 6 is perfect. I'm saying I had a good time. I really enjoyed the sisters against the killers in that scene. Like, I liked the whole theater of it. I, and again, I know I'm saying, like, and there's probably people screaming when they watch this. All five of the people that are going to watch this, they're going to say, um, but Scream 6 is just Scream 2 redone. Yes, kind of, but it's just done so kind of poorly in a way that I feel like it's not. Like so but I know it's a big callback to Scream 2, which is my favorite Scream movie. So of course I'm gonna have fun. But I don't feel like it was in your face. Like the theater, yes, I understand. The finale's in a theater.
Feel like I would have enjoyed it more if they weren't like they if they pushed hadn't pushed like they really pushed the boundaries of believability way too far. You can't be running around like that after you've been shot and stabbed. Like it's just
Yeah, I got tired of that. Like I was like, well, Mindy
they
was
never took it that far. They never took it that far in the original films. They really didn't. So it was just I don't know. Like they were trying to up the violence on it. Which okay, but what they had some of these people surviving was just ludicrous.
I mean, to be fair, they did it in 4 because they were like, it's touch and go with Sydney, but she had a bandage and like nothing on her, and that was
No,
ICU. Like, okay.
no, they did it several times. They did it like multiple times over the course of the franchise. Yeah.
But what's funny in 4 is that they did that with Sydney, where she has like nothing going on, like she's touch and go, but she's really just like chilling. But they really made Gail. She got stabbed in the shoulder, and she's like half dead in that one scene in the hospital. Like she's like, and then she gets up and runs around. Yeah, at the end. But a lot of
Yeah.
movies do that, so I'm not gonna hold that against Scream 6. But um, I do would like to end it on how Scream 2 is the
Yeah,
best.
let's do it because that's the one we haven't covered yet. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
But no, and probably my love for Scream 2 is that it was the first one I saw to completion. And it has Sarah Michelle Gellar in it, and like her second best chase scene in movie history. I mean, like she has two great ones. Like you have Helen Shivers, extreme, like the best chase scene I've ever seen. And then you have her phone call is so awesome in Scream 2. And the opening still has me scared. Okay, let's just let me get in. I'm getting too excited. Let me get in order here. Scream 2 opening is probably my favorite because it made me scared, and I'm still scared of bathrooms at the theater.
Really?
Yes, like after I saw that as a kid, I would not use the bathroom at the theater, and now when I go, I'm still uncomfortable. Because they
Well,
are
if you
creepy. Have
hear
you ever
someone whispering in the next stall, just don't put your ear next to it. You'll be
Well, I would
fine.
never, but you have you gone to the bathroom in a theater whenever like no one else is in it and it's dark and like later at night? It's very eerie feeling. So I do love that it's someone who goes to the theater a lot. Probably like obviously Kevin Williamson understood how scary that feels because there's not really anybody paying attention. Theaters feel very dangerous, as we see there has been quite a few violent things done in the theater because
Hmm.
when all these movies are going on, there's not, especially in my smaller city, there's not a lot of attendees. Like there's not like people monitoring things once you're in the back. Um, so I do find that that's a great scene. I've seen the movie that it's based on, and it's not as they really take things that are great ideas that maybe were not executed as grand as they could have been and made them grand. Like whenever that scene comes in and you have the knife like going down like this from the marquee, I think that that's just so epic. Like I feel like it's something. Why don't we do these atmospheric things to get me into the? Because I think that has a lot to do with it. Like, of course, they have to have the awesome script, but if you can pull me in and it feels like a grand world, I think that that just makes the experience. I mean, I could not imagine have seen Scream 2 in theaters. Like I would have been I think I would have just loved it more. All 3 of the first ones, if I could have seen them in theaters, I would have probably felt like the fans do when they're like, "I'm so betrayed because I'm going to see this movie and it's a shell of what's mine." And I don't really get that mad. I mean, obviously, I was mad at my first theater experience of Scream was Scream 4. But I was really kinda scared. I was very scared, in the opening of Scream 2, the after effect, like, I was kind of in awe during, like, I was super scared during Drew Barrymore's, while I was watching it, but Scream 2, it just had me like, "Oh my god, this is so a lot," and,
No, it is because it's like the exact opposite of the feeling of the first movie where you're like, you're in your house all alone at night, and it's like even though you're in your house and that everything is locked, like you're alone and nobody's going to come to no one's going to get there in time to save you. Whereas in two, you are surrounded by people and yet none of them can save you because none of them is aware what's happening.
yeah, it's like it's a big metaphor and all kind of stuff, and then Jada Pinkett Smith does a great job, Mekhi Phifer as well,
Omar Epps,
Summer Epps, Summer Epps, sorry. I was thinking of,
you're
um,
canceled.
I was thinking of something else.
Yeah,
So
you were thinking of I Still Know.
yes.
You're
Um,
canceled.
I know, right? I love Omar Epps. He was good in Dracula 2000 too. So I know who he is. Um, but I think they did a great job. I think it was a great opening, and then like you have the song "Oh Whoa," like, and then it goes to Sydney with the caller ID, and it's all sassiness and Hallie coming in, and I really enjoy Hallie. I think Hallie's a good friend. I think that
Yeah.
actually, even though it's kind of a fast kill scene, I was like, "Oh, no," and then, like, you're just like, "No," but then run.
No, I know. It was I know. I'm in the Justice for Halle bandwagon too because it was so amazing. And well, again, what I love about the first two movies is that even though it becomes clear that most of them are going to die, you don't want them to. And so
No.
and when Halle and that tremendous cop car scene,
Ugh,
which
that's
is
I've
like,
never seen anything better on screen. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what to say, like, that is I'm still uncomfortable, and I've seen it a million
I
times.
know. And the amazing thing is that the cop car scene in the first one is really good too. So they
Yeah,
had to like it's really good. So they actually but they so they actually the fact that they actually managed to top that and make a better one is just like wow. But
it's funny
so
because I don't even think of it as a callback, but you're true, like, they're just so different.
they are different. They are different, but they are different, but they're both incredibly suspenseful
Right.
for two different reasons. But yeah, so you think so when Hallie actually makes it out of the cop car, you're like, oh my god, she's gonna make it, and then
Right, yeah.
it's like, oh thank God, and then stupid Sydney had to go back and try to figure out who it was.
And you just called Scream 4 hate, and you just called Sydney stupid, they're gonna be like, "Ew, block."
You know I'm kidding. I don't think she's stupid.
No,
I totally
I
understand it, but it's just kind of like, girl, don't leave. Hallie got killed for being a good friend. You got.
so if I was Hallie, I would have been like, "Well, shit, I don't wanna be on it." I would have just been like, "Imma go get
I'm gonna
help,"
go with you.
or yeah, or Imma go with you. I would be like, "Ah." Um, but no, like, what else? Then we have Randy, who I find Randy in Scream 2 is far more tolerable,
Mhm.
because he's only in it for a little bit. But I do love the scene. I just love the scene with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Joshua Jackson and him because that feels like something I would have done in my fourth hour of high school.
Mhm.
We would discuss pop culture in
Yeah.
that my fourth hour because it was my biology 3 class and my teacher was only like she was like 10 years older than us, so she was still in her 20s and she would let us get it all out, like talk about what we want the day before, and then we would have class. And it felt very much like Scream 2 because we would argue about pop stars. It wasn't necessarily because not everybody watched horror movies, but there would be a lot of Beyonce versus Britney Spears conversations. So, but we would have like our little stand wars in there, like they were talking about the best movies and stuff. I mean, Timothy Olyphant is in that scene too. Like, I just think it's a great builder of in a great I know that Sarah Michelle Gellar wasn't originally in it, and I think it's great, like, to make us care about her character, like, she's just kind of it feels like she's gonna be a character in the movie, and you're like, "Okay," like, this is her, introduction, and then she gets her whole set piece, which I think is a great, for someone who is an up-and-coming star and someone who's that strong of an actress, because like Ryan, he just released an episode where he said that his favorite actress, she is mine, and I just think it's a middle, like almost a showcase of her talent, or almost like a showcase of her and Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson's talent. Like you could take that part of the movie out, and you're like, "This is Scream." I may be like overselling it, but if you wanted to show somebody something that felt like what Scream is, like that whole entire set piece is Scream.
Well, I don't, well, I'm not necessarily sure that I would say that. I mean, I think that
You could be wrong.
her,
It's fine.
no, it's okay. Yes, I know I'm wrong. It's fine. But it's, I think, well, it's supposed to, it feels like a little bit of, it feels like a redux of like, the opening of number one. And I think that it was, well, it was literally added because Sarah Michelle Gellar was like, get me in this movie. So they kind of like added that, they added her, like almost added her part into the film. And but in a way, for us and for our group and for all of our particular pop culture loves, it's just this thing where it's just like, oh my god, the universes of Scream and Buffy are like melding into one, and it's just
Yeah,
like it's like our manna, it's like our heaven is like right in front of us, and it's just like
right.
it's like, oh my god, so we're just it's lit for anyone growing up at that age. It's just like it feels like this is everything. So yeah, we weren't saying that back then, but that's how it felt. So
Well,
I
it just
get
felt
so I get it. I get it.
it
Uh,
was also more intense then because you had it was all happening at the same time. Like Buffy had just aired. I Know What You Did Last Summer was coming out. Scream 2 was coming out. Like it was like the perfect like storm for her because like Buffy started kicking off. She got to Know What You Did Last Summer and it was coming out, and Scream 2 was coming out. So you just had Sarah Michelle Gellar like everywhere, like in all three of the most popular things. Like, because I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, I know I was like a year later from Scream, so I was in that 1 year. I felt more mature. It was everywhere. Like the soundtrack was all over Walmart. You could listen to it, like pre-listen to it, and those short trailers. I think the trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer is so effective with the blood like dripping down and the words coming out, and like you just see so many of Sarah Michelle Gellar's chase scenes in it, or chase scene in it, and Julie screaming. Like I know that that's a pure slasher. It's kind of a whodunit, but not really. Like I love a pure slasher. That's why I'm excited for that reboot. But I just think that Scream 2 is so grand. Like it's the most grand one. Like you have the grand theater, you have the grand
oh, it
that
definitely has the most theatrical conclusion. It
yeah,
really
and
did.
it's like even takes place in a theater multiple times. Like Sarah Michelle Gellar's set piece, the house is scary and like she's watching that what Nosferatu? Is that what she's watching?
Mhm.
And I like the details, like no eating in the living room and she's eating pizza and like the
Oh
different
no,
stair
that yeah,
levels
that
and
whole scene is like, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
her hair, dude. Like I love the whole 90s of the outfit and the hearing of that damn furniture and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then it's like one of the sisters is there and you're like, oh, okay. And then he's like, I'm still scared now. Like the thought of someone sneaking into my house right in front of me when he dips in and he tells her, don't forget to set the alarm because he overheard. And that's so menacing. Like I feel like it gives me chills now because I think that it's scary. I think that it's just perfect to me, and I could be wrong. It's like, could be my love for Sarah Michelle Gellar, but I just have to sit and watch that scene. And sometimes I would just crave to watch it. Like I would just be like, I want to watch that scene in Scream 2 right now. The same thing with I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think it's something to do with how Sarah Michelle Gellar looks on screen with like the acting with her eyes.
Mhm.
Um, because the scene that comes to mind that I was like, I don't want anything to happen to this girl is when she turns hearing the phone ring and her hair flips and you just see the tears in her eyes because she's scared. Um, it's just a lot. And I'm like, now I'm sitting here like fangirling over Sarah Michelle Gellar's scene in that movie, but it's just so good.
I
Like,
mean, that's what we do.
right.
It's just like, it's
um,
what we do. And that scene, by the way, is just so pure, like vintage Kevin Williamson, because because it really just shows like how aware he is of pop culture at the time. So of course, if Sarah Michelle Gellar is playing the actress, of course, so naturally she's watching an old horror movie, but about a vampire,
right.
because she's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then in the scene where she's talking to her friend, they're talking about Party of Five.
Yeah,
So
with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
with Nev Campbell. So
And you
it's
know who's
just,
on the other line? The actress?
yes, Selma
Selma
Blair.
Blair, which hasn't I know Cruel Intentions hadn't happened yet, but I was like, this is wild. Like this is so
Yep.
wild. Yeah, she goes, I love how her deadpan, I can't believe you're alone in that house.
Yep.
I don't think I'm alone. Don't panic, CC. Call
Yeah.
campus security.
Yeah.
Why am I like this? But then we move on to the really intense scenes with Sydney, like with her at the party, and you just feel that dread on her face when she knows it's happening again because
Yeah.
she sees that her boyfriend's been stabbed or yeah, been cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then the manipulation that Mickey does. I just think, and the scene of her as Cassandra, I just think that's so spooky when you see like the scream mask. Is she delusional? Is it really happen?
I know it's really the only time in the I think in the franchise where it does the Hitchcock thing, or it's just like, is he really there, or is she just imagining it?
I like
Yeah.
to believe that he's really there because I think Mickey is that sick. Like I
Yes.
think that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that they'd be like, well, yeah, but they're just playing. And I just love how the sorority sisters they're in the play with Sydney. Like I love how they pop up through the movie. I think that they are brilliantly directed and do what they need to do. Rebecca Gayheart and what's her name?
Portia de Rossi.
Rossi. Um, and then the
Portia
finale
de
is so
Rossi.
fun. Like the Gale's chase scene to have these many great
Yeah.
chases in one movie.
Oh,
I'm like,
it's fantastic.
I
With the
wanted
sound
to
and
like
the soundproofing,
cry.
it was great.
Yeah, I wanted to like. I remember watching that for the first time. It was so intense. I was like, I don't even know if I can watch this. Like I remember being because we had watched I Know What You Did Last Summer first, and then we watched Scream 2, and I remember being like, I can't handle um Helen Shimmer's chasing and now this Gale chasing. I remember being like so mind
It's a lot.
yeah.
Yep. No, it's a lot. And especially the Gale chase scene and the cop car scene back to back.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's like a lot. Like it's so much.
Ooh.
And then you have the whole reveal, which I know I'm really shocked that a lot of people don't find Mickey menacing or they don't like because I find him the most menacing Ghostface. Like I find him to be the scariest because I feel like he's like a wild animal.
Yeah.
And um
Yes.
and I'm very frightened about him because he just doesn't give a shit and he has like this idea to be multiple people and to befriend you and be close to you and make it so real. And I just think that the way that Timothy portrays it is so well done. And then you have obviously um, Mrs. Loomis, who is like so great. Like and it's so not Aunt Jackie that you don't really see it coming because um, you're like Aunt Jackie's not the killer, right? Because
I know.
and
I
then she
know.
comes
And
out
then
and
Aunt Jackie is the killer.
right, and she never blinks, and you're just like, I love her cat and mouse with Sydney, and Sydney's being dramatic as fuck and making it like, why does she need to make it thunder? Like, there's no reason for her to make it thunder, but she's like, I'm gonna do this shit.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry. That's like, actually, I will say this. That is my favorite uh showdown between Sydney and any of the killers.
yeah,
Like,
but
it's so fabulous. Like the way it's edited, the smashing of the glass, the axe, her chopping everything down, like the destroying of the theater. It's like
screaming,
very
yeah,
symbolic of her like realizing that like, that like everything is like, just basically destroying the fakeness and having to fight her way back out into like being who she's really supposed to be, and like getting through the trauma. Um, and I love the fact that even though she absolutely like uh rails on Mrs. Loomis and throws her around like a rag doll, Mrs. Loomis is just so psychotically vengeful for Sydney killing her son that she's like relentless. So it's really really intense. It's great.
I also take back my comment because she probably was shaking it to make thunder so people would hear that something was going on and get help. Um,
Yeah.
so I take that back. But yeah, like I mean, Mrs. Loomis did not stop. She was like stabbing those rocks that were falling, like to and sitting
Mhm.
with a shield. He was trying to bargain with Cotton. It's intense. Like it's a lot in a short amount of time, and
Yeah.
it's kind of unnerving how Cotton like the way Cotton behaves in Scream 2. Like I get it why he's a suspect. Like as an older,
Yeah,
like
because he's a fucking creep.
and he's is the creep, and you're just like, why do you have to think about it? And you kind of I know he explains himself afterwards, but I was like, this is an intense ass movie. Like you have the not hero that's a hero, but he's also has to think about it. And I like
Yeah.
the moment we make it seem like it's Gail that's walking out to be the killer, and she's like, no, you think Gail's dead, you think Stewie's dead. It's a big roller coaster that I love. Like I just love
Mhm.
but I do find that the first two movies are perfect movies. I do love to rewatch three, and I rank it higher than the first one. I really do rank things as a rewatch. Like, how much am I going to rewatch it and like keep it on because it entertains me? It's not necessarily what I think is a better movie. I just like to. One of my favorite things is to rewatch movies, and if it's very rewatchable, then I do rank it a little higher. Um, I just think that the finale of Scream 2 is my favorite, the opening of Scream 2 is my favorite, the cast of Scream 2 is my favorite, like, I can't not make it my favorite because I just think it's a good time, and when people ask me what my favorite movie is, I am not shy. I used to be kinda shy to say Scream 2 because I was like, "Well, that doesn't make sense because the first one's really perfect, and, there's other movies that you can say." I was like, "No, Scream 2 is my favorite movie."
There you go.
And it's a comfort movie, and I love it very much. But I also love the series very much, and I don't think I explained it very well. And I think I've scattered and talked about a lot of different things, but I think there's something so special about the original three in our age group that I do feel sad that the newer age group can't experience it in that way. Like with the companion soundtracks, with the specials at the end of the VHS that was a surprise that you're like, oh my God, this is on here, and I get to get more Scream, and I get to watch this, and you get to be live in a world where when these movies went off, I got to still see Nev Campbell in Party of Five, and I got to see Sarah Michelle Gellar in Buffy, and I got to see who like
Courtney Cox and Friends.
Friends. Like they were on your TV all the time, and in these grand movies, and in the magazines, and
I know if we didn't love them so much, you'd get sick of them, but we did.
right.
We loved them.
But you couldn't help it because it still wasn't in your face. Like you had to go look at the magazine. I had to turn on the TV. Like
Correct.
it wasn't on my phone. And I don't think that the stars of Scream 5 and 6, except for Jenna Ortega, which I think is a very organic fame. Like she's not always on my screen,
Mm.
but I love her rollout. Like I do love that she's in a popular TV show. I do love that she's at the Met Gala in a very interesting dress, and I do she has a movie with The Weeknd coming out. I saw a preview.
Oh, that's
It looks
cool.
really interesting. It was a scary movie. I didn't see the unicorn movie, but
No, me neither. But she's not the only one. I mean, a bunch of the new
oh,
Scream
Jasmine
actors,
Savoy. I love Jasmine Savoy. Like I do think,
they're also in TV shows too.
yeah,
Like,
and, I do like that feel. They do kind of still get the feel because I do think that Yellow Jackets is a great show and quite popular. Um,
and
and
then I
I
think
know that
Jack Quaid is on The Boys. And I
Mason Gooding was on.
love Victor. He was in Love, Victor.
So yeah, it is kind of a second coming, and I do like that for the new generation. I do. Jack Quaid is in The Boys, and I do enjoy him in that.
There you go.
Um, but yeah, I do love that there is a new. I'm not as bitter to say like I do think that the newer movies probably aren't for my age group. They try to make them for my age group, but are probably for the younger people, and I felt that with Scream 6, but I feel like I'm always a kid at heart, so I appreciated it. I felt like it was a move in the right direction to have an but I
We
am
love being young at heart.
yeah. But I also love I am excited for Scream 7. I know I've hated on Kevin Williamson here. I really don't hate him. I love Dawson's Creek, and I Know What You Did Last Summer almost as much as I love Scream. And I love The Faculty that he did, like, a lot, and I also love Halloween H2O that he did. I know that he's uncredited, but, as a writer for it, but I know that he did a lot of the punch-ups of Halloween H2O. Oh,
That was an accident.
okay.
Sorry.
Um, but I am excited for Scream 7. I'm excitedly cautious about Scream 7, but I was excitedly cautious about all the sequels, so we will see.
Yeah, it's getting late where I am, so I am getting a pretty tired. But I will just say that while I'm extremely skeptical about Scream 7, and I will still see it, and the enthusiasm amongst our group is quite infectious. So I will say that it's making me less weary about seeing it. But I will, whatever happens, I'll be there in the theater, and I'll enjoy talking with all of you about it. And I really, really enjoyed talking with you about this. This was awesome. I think this is the longest recording we've done so far, but I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
It is Scream after all. And uh yeah, so okay, so we may as well do our rankings
Oh,
just to close it out. So I'll start. For me, it's 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 6.
1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 6. 3 hate. Terrible.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm wrong. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway,
No, you do. It's fair. It's very fair. Mine is 2, 3, 1, 6, 5, 4.
okay,
But Scream 1 is so good. Like it makes you feel, but I don't rewatch it as much as I watch 3. So that's why 3 moved up
okay.
to the second place.
There you go.
But I do have something controversial to say. And we'll end with this, and I'll be killed or whatever if people make it this far. Cursed is a better movie than Scream 4.
Are you serious?
Actually, yeah. I have rewatched Cursed far more than I've
Okay,
watched.
can we turn this off now? I don't even. I do not have. I don't. I cannot. I do not have the capacity for this right now. I
What a
cannot.
it's a better movie.
That.
It's so good it got filmed twice. Like,
Okay.
ooh, that should be an episode of The Lore of Cursed.
That's fine. We can do that at some point too.
I know too much
Fine.
about
I
that
know you
movie.
really hate Scream 4. I get it. Um, I'm sorry, but like objectively speaking, there are just certain places I cannot go, and this is one of them.
I said what I said.
Yeah, I know, Nini. I heard you. Um,
All right. Bye,
good
everybody.
night, everybody. Thank you for coming along the ride with us. Enjoy your evenings.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see. I'm gonna stop recording.